Hello, everybody. Welcome to Live with Heidi and Heather.
Hi, I'm Heidi Esther, a joy and mindfulness storyteller.
And I am Heather Kokx, happiness expert. And
We're
here to pump you up. With true stories, lessons, and tools to get you to more joy, happiness, and personal freedom.
Come for the conversation and stay for the ridiculously cute dog cameos. Like my dog, Elvis, who doesn't want to be here.
Kind of like a girl's weekend without the hangover.
All right, here's the show, and I'm going to let Elvis go.
All right. So our big thing today to talk about is personal freedom. And I have to say, I've always kind of known what personal freedom is, but I didn't ever have to define it. And so this was a good exercise for me to actually define it. And we have come up, actually more Heidi than me, have come up with 4 things that you can do today to get yourself some more personal freedom.
I think Heather underestimates herself. We totally talked about this together and came up with the 4 things. We traded the logo. Yeah, so this is definitely a joint effort. And I want to hear more about how you've always felt that personal freedom, because I definitely did not.
I'm not saying I always felt it.
Recently.
I've never said I always felt it, but I kind of understood what it was and wanted it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's different.
Yeah, you were a big thinker like your whole life and just me recently. So I'm just recently in the deep end of things. So anyway, how are you taking care of yourself today, Heather?
This morning, I have got back on track with doing my AM journaling, aka via Ala. That's what I'm looking for. Ala, Julia Cameron, and her Artist Way, her morning pages. Got back on doing that. And I would have done a meditation. That was the plan. But Ember woke me up at 6:30 this morning to go out. So,
okay.
Yes. So, but that's okay. I got to get the kind of the chill of the morning and all of that. And so that was nurturing too. What about you? What did you do today?
Well, I will be chatting about something I did today to take care of myself that also goes with what I'm proud of. But today there was a whole thing. And then I said, all right, I need to reset. Mm-hmm. I'm not just going to jump into getting stuff done, because I felt I just had all this stress built up. And it was like, I just needed somewhere for it to go. And so I did a meditation, and I've been doing meditations from this lovely woman, Alexandra Takeda. And she has a lot of like release and let go. But today was like return to love. I did her return to love meditation, and it was only like 6 minutes, but it completely like reset my mindset to like just connect with like my inner little Heidi cheerleader.
Yeah.
And I felt so good. And then I was ready to conquer the day. So
I want to say congratulations to you, because that shows a lot of self-awareness. And then also acting on that self-awareness to stop and say, okay, I am not in a good space. I need to take, what did you say, 6 minutes?
Yeah.
6 minutes to reset. And that's all it took, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That's huge. So good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Thanks. Yeah. My story this week was about the dance with life. And so it's about that listening. Like there's a big piece. It's just like listening, but then following, right? So like that's kind of like what I'm doing. I call it the dance with life 3 steps. So it's like ask the question, what do I need? Listen to the answer, and then act on it. So that's a 3-step, like ask, listen, act.
Yep. That is an excellent dance. And just like with all dancing, sometimes you have to learn step by step. First, you have to learn to ask. And then maybe the next time you're aware.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes we finally get that break, like, oh, this isn't good. What should I do now? And but then we don't listen. Then we end up saying, oh, well, my mom usually can help me out, or like, I'm going to go ask my spouse. And so it takes a real concentrated effort just to sit in that moment of discomfort and say, like, what do I need that I'm not going to fulfill like knee jerk. I'm just going to sit
Yeah.
and let my body or my intuition tell me.
Yeah.
So
That's
yeah, well,
awesome.
thanks.
That's huge. All
Yay.
right. Well, what's one thing you're proud of this week?
Oh my gosh. So this morning I had a bit, it's my son's late start day. So my wife was already at work and my daughter was already at school, and he hadn't done all of his stuff overnight, like his lunch and
Mm,
all these other chores because we tell him, like, we have this thing, like, teamwork makes the dream work. So we're all doing our own parts. And if you don't do your own parts, then I ended up doing your parts, and then I can't do my parts. And then
yeah.
the dream's not working. And so I gave him the bad news. I'm like, I'm pretty sure your phone is like, you're going to have to relinquish your phone today. And that's like his heir as a
Oh, yeah.
15-year-old boy with a girlfriend. And he even told me he was like popular. And then his sister like reinforced that. So I guess he's like popular. And so he has I know he's fancy. He has a lot of friends in high school. And he's had this huge blow up of anger. And I firmly believe that God gave me a son to finally deal with me being okay with being able to take care of myself in a house with someone who has anger like his father. So what I said, he got in the middle of it, and then I kind of stopped, and he's like, and I'm like, that was really angry and impolite what you just said. And then I was like, you might have a pattern similar to the patterns that your dad has. And he kind of paused and said, oh, well, maybe I'm really worried that maybe I'm turning into dad. And I was like, no, you might have a pattern like dad, but now you have the gift of being in this house and becoming self-aware that your actions make other people do things. Like, I used to always give you what you wanted, but you know what? I'm no longer giving you what you want. And we're going to sit here and figure this out. And he slowly deflated, and we had a very good heart to heart. And so I'm very proud of him, and I'm very proud of me for sitting in that moment. But that's what created all the stress in me when he left. After I dropped him off, I was like, ah! So I screamed a lot in the car, and that was really good. I just got it out, like, physically. And then I came back home and I did the return to love meditation. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
You've had a big morning.
It was a big morning. I was like, oh, I feel like this needs to probably be a story. So,
yeah, definitely.
I'll be coming your way soon on HeidiEsther.com. So Heather, what are you proud of this week?
I am proud of that. Long story short, my husband has been doing alternate fasting since January 2020. And by alternate fasting, he has been doing the eat one day, not eat one day. So fasting every other day. And so in September, I decided, okay, I'm going to give this a try. So it took me 2 months kind of playing around with it, seeing what I can get away with and what I can't, because that's who I am. I have to see what I can get away with. And so starting last Sunday, I have been going every other day, and I have not eaten at all on those alternate days. And I haven't killed people. This is good.
Yes, I'm proud of you for even considering this alternate day fasting.
Well, I did a lot of research on it, and there's a lot of health benefits that I think would be beneficial for me. One specifically for the brain. There's a lot of dementia and Alzheimer's in my family. And so it is, according to theory, very helpful for that. So that's why I've been doing it. And I've noticed that I haven't been bruising as much. I bruise really easily. So I haven't had as many bruises. So that's good.
Unexpected side benefit.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. And it has gotten easier. I don't feel like I want to kill people as much. I'm not getting as much of the brain fog. So that's good. So yeah.
Wow. So you don't even have like coffee or juice or anything?
No, I'll have coffee or tea.
Okay.
And yeah, it's also okay. I haven't done it very often, but it's also okay to put some apple cider vinegar in some water. And I also we
My
drink,
in-laws do that for health
yeah.
benefits, the apple cider vinegar.
And you can we always drink 32 ounces of lemon water every morning. We learned that from the Conscious Cleanse, which we did many, many years ago, and that's the only thing that stuck. Is drinking that 32 ounces of lemon water, and I think it's because you start to feel like when you don't have it, your body's pissed because you're dehydrated from not drinking all night, and so it like just replenishes you right away.
So that's why your skin looks so good. Is it it's genetics plus lemon water?
Sure. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you got good skin.
Thank you. I
You're
appreciate
welcome. Wow. Wow. I didn't know that. I'm not going to consider it, but I will consider the lemon water. That sounds like a good idea for me.
Yeah, we share a lemon. We each get half the lemon squeezed into the water.
Nice. So it's
Yeah.
fresh lemon water.
Yes, we buy a lot of lemons. And then we get angry when some of them mold. Then we have to wash them all again. And it's the cycle of life, the lemon.
Yeah. Yeah. One rotten lemon can ruin the bunch. It's like apple, right?
That's right. Just like apples.
One rotten apple. All right. So I think we're gonna get started into the four ways, 4 different tips to get personal freedom.
That's
I'm
right.
gonna show the first one.
So the first one is don't let fear drive the bus. So fear, I believe, is the basis for many, many of the negative things in our life. And fear comes from our ego. And you make a lot of decisions based on that fear. You want to feel safe. You want to be your best. You know, all of these things that happen. And before, like a lot of the things when we were younger that we used to help keep us feel safe, those fears, they don't work anymore when you're an adult. And so what we did to feel safe, the perfectionism that we sometimes have, and maybe staying away from risks and those things, they don't work anymore. So the ego worries and rationalizes, and then the fear comes up, and then you don't move forward, and you're not able to be your authentic self.
Yeah, you just kind of stuck in these patterns. Yeah, like I think of when I was little, and even when I was a teenager, like I always prided myself on being like mommy's little helper. You know, like I'm most helpful. I'm the most helpful one, and all that stuff. And that's great to be seen as a middle child in a busy household, but not good to be in when you're in trying to be in an equitable marriage. Or trying to get time if you're a stay-at-home mom, you know, or if you have a business partner that would like run all over you. So yeah, those patterns definitely in adulthood, they get the big
thumbs down.
Yeah,
it's all cute when you're a little kid and you're helping set the table.
Yeah, you're on the stool like washing the dishes, and you're like, I'm such a helper.
Makes you feel loved and safe. And then
but when you're washing the dishes every night and no one's helping you, you're not smiling anymore about them.
No.
You take that stool and you're going to throw it at people. No, it's not good. It's not good. No, I never have thrown a stool at anybody. Just to let you know.
My big fear that holds me back is just the fear of putting myself out there and using my voice, because when I was a little girl, I somehow learned that if I put myself forward, it takes away from other people.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I've had to learn that it actually benefits, well, myself, but also other people to be out there and to share my light and share my voice. So that has been my big fear that I have to set aside all the time. Like Elizabeth Gilbert says, I have to put it in the back of the car. Say, you can come along, but you don't get to drive. I know you're there.
You're making me nervous and you're making me go to the bathroom, but I'm still going to drive.
That's exactly. I'm still driving, and we're still going to do that live podcast.
Yeah. We're
Yeah.
still going to do the live show.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I find that, I mean, that's just so powerful.
Yeah.
To get to this point where, and I think a lot of it is maybe, I know my parents, they were brought up by people who lived during the Great Depression. And so there was this huge scarcity mindset, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's just not enough,
Yeah.
not enough. And so we take that mindset, or at least, I would take that mindset and I would apply it to, all right, so I'm going to go after, it makes you competitive. I think it doesn't make you collaborative, right? Like I have to compete with you for this limited resource of, internet bandwidth. And if I don't want to compete with you and I want to be someone who just kind of gets along with everybody and doesn't make waves, and you don't even try then, right?
No.
So as an adult, you won't even try for the airwaves. You'll say everybody else should get that because, I'm copacetic with everybody.
Yeah.
So,
I'm fine without it. It's okay.
yeah.
It's all good. Yeah.
So that's so huge. When I think that I had a lot of fear over not being seen as a certain kind of person when I was like in a heterosexual marriage and we had like a big house in the suburbs. All of these things were not like authentic decisions, but I just had this big fear of not being this way that I thought I should. Like I should it all over myself. As one of my friends and yoga instructor, Rachel, he says, stop shooting all over yourself. So yeah, so I would just constantly be shooting over myself. And so it took me so long and so many like punches to the face in the, not literal, but metaphorical, in this unsafe relationship to be able to wake up and say, maybe that's not good. Maybe after the 2 millionth punch, I was like, oh, okay, all right. I don't want to do this anymore. But my fear would keep me coming back and plugging in to that same experience because I was afraid of being authentically seen. So it's very similar.
And you were taught that this is the safe route.
Yeah, this is the successful, safe way. You need to you need to go and get your technical degree in science and math, and then go be a productive citizen, for the world, and then pop out some babies and have a nice big house.
Yep.
So yeah, fear is so big. So yeah, don't let fear drive the bus.
Would
So
you
do
like
we have
to
we do have a quote. We have a
Yes,
quote.
I was
right?
just going to say, would you like to read the quote? Did I put you on the spot?
Oh yeah. So if you want to, quotes courtesy of Don Miguel Ruiz and Heather. If you want to live a life of joy and fulfillment, you have to find the courage to break those agreements that are fear-based and claim your personal power. So once you break that agreement with fear and say, like, I'm no longer going to let you drive my bus, then you're able to literally put yourself in the driving seat. So that's the power.
Yeah.
To saying enough is enough, and I'm gonna go forward authentically as myself, even though I feel like I'm naked driving here. I'm finally in the seat.
And we've all made agreements that we think were in our best interest, and then later we're like, yeah, that wasn't a good choice. It's the same thing. It's the same thing with fear. You've made these agreements, and then you're like, oh yeah, this isn't a good relationship anymore. The meaning with the fear. So yeah, I
think it's just so, and I think living with teenagers who are like little adults is just so, and I'm able to just kind of see like my journey, like where I was, like reflected in them all the time, and because I often stop them and say, well, why would you want to do that, or why would you want to say that? And just to kind of get the juices flowing for self-awareness. And they're like, yeah, because it's cool. So that's it, because that's what everyone's doing, Mom. So but like when you pause to, now if they had then paused and been like, oh well, I don't have to do what everyone else does. See, that's the next step, right? And so it's just like pausing to say, like, why do I want to do this? And then pausing to say, like, what is behind this? What is behind why do I want this big house?
Right.
Because certainly the answer isn't it because I want to clean it. That's not
No,
why. Yeah.
no.
So, like,
And I think that
why do I feel like I need to have it perfect so when everyone comes over? Oh, why do I want to have it perfect?
yeah.
Oh, because I want everyone to see my perfect house. Why do I feel like I need to show everyone this perfect house? Because I want everyone to know that I'm successful. Why do I think this house is a sign of success? Because it's big and it's like, oh, it's like what my parents' house looks like. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think that's a good lead into our next one.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So let's move on to tip number 2. I feel like this one is so stay in your lane. It's just so continuing with the car analogy.
Mhm.
Um, Stay in your lane probably was something that saved my family or me from wanting to divorce either my wife or my teenagers during the pandemic. Because it has to, I mean, it has to do with physical boundaries, right? Maintaining your physical boundaries from people and making sure you have space, but also unattaching from what you're doing that for other people, like in
Mhm.
reaction to what other people, like I'm doing this because they want me to, or and like I can't even tell you like how many times I said yes to like helping with room mom duties or PTA duties, and I was just like, and then I get in a room with some like hyper controlling alpha mom who, belongs at the head of some like evil 101 Dalmatians Cruella de Vil kind of corporation. It doesn't
Yeah.
belong in reality. And I'm like, why, why am I doing this? So that these other moms can be happy. So other
Mhm.
people can see me as someone who gives like all my time up to being around toxic people. So stay in your lane, I think is just so important to learn to unattach from doing things to get that response from other people, to get like, I'm doing this to make you love me, or like I'm doing
Mhm.
this for you, and like all that stuff, right? That's like so controlling.
Yeah.
Like in my marriage when things got really bad. So things got really bad when we got the big house in the suburbs in my marriage to my husband. And the whole house was most like inflated with anger a lot. And so I was constantly doing things to make my husband happy. So I
Yes.
would feed the kids a little bit so they weren't cranky before they got home. I would put them in clean clothes. I would like, so I would like do all these things to nurture my kids so that they were happy.
Mhm.
So, like, I was trying to control them, and then my husband would come home and be like, "Here's a drink," and like, "Here's a well-behaved child you can hang out with."
So you were doing preemptive stuff
I was doing preemptive.
to
Yeah.
to keep away or any triggers or
Yeah.
anything that might cause grumpy.
Yeah. Or I would say, like, "Oh, kids, you can when dad comes home, you can watch a show." Because then I'd be like, because if I knew he'd had a bad day, then I could circumvent. I could say, "No show until when dad comes home, a special treat." And then I can circumvent the kids away from dad to get their
Mhm.
treat. And they wouldn't know dad's angry. They would just think that they earned a treat. Yeah.
Right.
So none of it was staying in my 0% was staying in my lane. But it was also sad, like I didn't know what my lane was at that point. My lane was
Yeah.
just
Mhm.
which is other people's lanes, making other people's lane drives happy. So I wasn't
Yeah.
even in my car at that moment.
Right. You were
I
driving
was
other
like
people.
outside of my car driving other people's cars for them. So
Yes.
yeah, so and just something else, and then this is kind of like a bigger concept in this. If any of you listening to this, if you've ever read the Four Agreements,
Which is where
down
all
the
these quotes are from
yeah,
that we're
all these
doing.
quotes are from the Four Agreements. Don Miguel Ruiz talks a lot about being in the dream. And so this is like when when you're not awake, when you're not self-aware, you are just programmed to follow society's rules, to be a person just kind of like a part of the flock of sheep, just kind of doing what everyone else is doing in society. Like
Mhm.
during the depression, everyone hid coffee cans of money in their front yard, um and so just kind of continuing to be in that dream. And so finally when you wake up from that dream, you can claim your freedom, and that's what we're talking about today. If you're more
Mhm.
interested in learning about the Four Agreements, I would love to chat with you about it. or, put in the comments if you like Four Agreements or any other books that you have read that have really helped you with personal freedom. We'd love to hear that. So do you have something that you would like to talk about with regards to staying in your lane?
Yes. My biggest example of that in my life when I learned that lesson was after college. I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I had an English major. What do you do with that? I didn't want to be a teacher. So I got my first admin job, and I thought, you know what? I want to go to massage school. I want to become a massage therapist. And word spread throughout the family somehow, and it got to my grandmother. And my grandmother has always thought that I'm extremely brilliant and should become a lawyer, a doctor, or president. Those were pretty much my
three
your
choices. Options.
Yes. Okay. And so she sent
no
me
big shoes there or anything.
No, she sent me this long letter explaining to me why going to massage school would be a waste, that it was all hard work, it wasn't a lot of money, and those things are true. And however, there's other benefits that came with it. And so I didn't do it. And I went to work for a cell phone company and did that for a while. And then one day I realized, I woke up, and that's when you're listening to the little voice, right? Kind of like we were talking about. Sometimes the little voice gets past the fear and says, you're unhappy. And I just realized if I woke up every day and my day was like the day that I was going to have, that I was not going to be happy. I was going to be a miserable person. And so, one of those moments where your life flashes in front of your eyes, like, oh God, I don't want that. So
I don't want to retire from this job.
No.
Or tomorrow. I don't even want to live tomorrow. Yeah.
No. And so I started researching and went to massage school. And I have never regretted it. And yes, there were times when massage was hard, and I didn't make billions of dollars, but I made enough to help support us during the recession. And I learned a ton about myself, about other people, about healing. It was the game changer in my life.
Yeah, it started you on your path, but that is the dream of society encroaching on you through your grandmother.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's what she would expect. Other people would have expected of her, would expect of you. So that's the dream of society just coming right at you like full force in a letter from your grandma. I mean, could that be any harder?
No.
I don't know.
Who wakes up and who's his little kid says, I'm going to be a massage therapist. It's always like, I'm going to be a fireman or a doctor or a vet or it's not the acceptable things.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And thank goodness for this next generation. And, all the Simone Biles is out there with regards to like the mental health awareness, whatever. Yeah. And my daughter, right now, I mean, she's a beautiful artistic soul, but she's like, I'm going to grow up and be a therapist. And I was like, that is the most coolest thing ever. And she's like, I know. So she still has very healthy self-esteem, and she's 14. So I feel like we're doing good so far. So
yeah.
So we'll keep it going.
Yeah.
All right. So let's move on to oh wait, we have a nice quote for this one, too.
No, we don't.
We don't.
Not in Stay in Your Lane.
Oh no. Oh yeah. Okay. Sorry. That's for the third one. I didn't write down which numbers they were.
That's okay.
So anyone who's watching this, you got a little preview of the next quote.
You can rewind and pause and read it.
There'll be a quiz at the end. No, there won't be a quiz.
No quizzes.
But yes. So for anyone who's watching this preview, would love to know how, if you resonate with letting fear drive your bus and how that's impacted your life and how you've been able to, kind of stop that and move forward more authentically, and also how you stay, if it's hard to stay in your lane as a recovering codependent of 8 years, someone who never drove in my own car or I stayed in my own lane. So it's a constant challenge, but it's getting easier the more and more brave steps I take. The more I realize I like driving my own car and no one else's. It's safer.
Yeah. It's
Metaphorically
safer.
and real.
It's also easier. The more you get to learn who you are and what you want and stay in your lane and do those things, life is better.
Yeah.
So let's move on to number 3, let in grace.
All right.
So why is grace important for this? Because I think with all that fear and that stay in your lane, I think there's a lot of shame that comes when you decide to not do those things because, well, first of all, they have been telling you not to. So grace is forgiveness and compassion and acceptance and love, like all in one, giving yourself the grace to step into your lane, to make mistakes, and figure it out and take care of yourself and love yourself and put yourself first and to radically accept who you are. And that takes grace because you're going to need to have forgiveness for yourself and compassion and for others as well. Because some people aren't going to like when you do these things. And you're going to need to have grace for them that they don't get it. And it's okay. So do you have a moment in your life where you went through this?
So I had to, well, first I had to learn to stay in my own lane, but once I did, and then I started to kind of, to turn inward. I would say that my journey from all these tips 1 to tip 4 would be from a self hate to a belief in self. So once I was able to consistently care about myself, even though, and I will say this to any of you who like kind of, if you have like an inconsistent self-care or like taking care of yourself, kind of like sometimes you're just like, oh, I haven't like done anything for myself in a long time and I'm just totally wasted. So if you have inconsistent self-care, it's because you don't you might not yet have that self-love. And you're not going to get the self-love. It's kind of chicken egg thing. So I didn't get the self-love until I figured out how to consistently put myself first and consistently give myself grace and consistently ask myself what I need and then give it to myself and then say, oh my God, I really need a before work nap, which wasn't even part of my language until like the pandemic. So taking all these consistent steps got me to a place that I'm always giving myself grace no matter what, because I'm human. And so then it finally ended up in this cascade, right? We were talking about this cascade that once you like the self-love and then you forgiveness and you have all this humility. And so then it kind of like letting in this grace kind of opens up the doors wide to saying like, this is what could be possible for you. But you can't see what's possible until you have this inside yourself. Like, I love myself no matter if I ugly cried in my car the other day and I wrote out all these shitty poems that I never want to publish and all this stuff. And I give myself grace to do all of that and do more of it until I feel better, because I'm not meant to be here to suffer. And for you listening, you're not meant to be here to suffer or to be a workaholic or to be addicted to anything other than maybe taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'll get out my little high horse there. You can tell I'm slightly passionate.
That's not a high horse. It's like, but everything you said is true. Sometimes when you start this process, you don't even know what you need.
Yeah. Or you're like, why would I do that? Why would I even want to like eat healthy? Because I eat what I like, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And so you're first, you're going to just battle. You're like, why would I want to do that? With self-care? I mean, it's fine. I'm fine. I was brought up fine. Nothing is wrong here. But like, I beg you to ask the question, like, what if you did some things that made
Mhm.
you feel good on the inside, and not like a,
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy myself like a tennis bracelet kind of good, but
Yeah.
like, I mean, those, they're pretty and all, but like something that made you feel connected with your worth, like
Yeah.
connected with, and then we'll talk about this next, connected with your truth of who you are.
Mhm.
Like for a
Yeah.
long time, I felt bad. I felt really bad about sleeping with teddy bears. And finally, at some point in the last years, I'm like, I'm always going to sleep with teddy bears, and
Mhm.
it's okay
Yeah.
because I have a crook in my arm that's meant for a teddy bear.
That's
It's right
right.
there. And, you know, my wife has always kind of accepted it. And I used to hide it. Like I would hide the teddy bear. And then in the night, like after, like she would be asleep, like I'd bring it out and I'd like tuck it under. Um, it's like covert teddy bear hugger.
Yeah.
So yeah, just giving myself grace to say like I'm a stuffed animal sleeper person.
Person.
Yeah.
When during the recession, life was hard in the Cox family,
Mm,
and I have a teddy bear named Snuffles that I've had since I
mm.
was young, and yeah, I would sleep with Snuffles because
Oh,
it felt like sleeping with a hug, you know?
yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. At some point, I read a book that said that there is a whole few generations of people who were taught not to attach to any one parent because
mm,
so separate. It was from Western European countries, and then developed these unusually strong attachments with inanimate objects like teddy bears. And I was like, that's me.
yeah.
I totally get it. Like when I
Yeah.
need consoling, I never went to my parents. I went to like my blankie or my teddy bear. And
Mhm.
so just because they want to foster that independent attitude, right? That's what they were thought they were doing. But they were just fostering like a ridiculously secure attachment with inanimate objects. So, and I'm like, well, I get that's it, what it is. I can't break it, and I'm just gonna accept it. That was probably around the point where I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna be out with I'm coming out of the closet as a teddy bear sleeper
Yeah.
person. Yeah,
We love
for
you
sure.
for being a teddy bear sleeper.
Oh, thanks, Heather. Thanks. That's the
Well,
first. This is the first time I ever said that. To
the
like
general public.
out in the interwebs.
You
I
know
know. I feel like I'm always coming out somehow.
That's
So
right.
or going back in. If I'm recording my podcast, I record it
Yeah.
in the closet. So I'm out in the closet, in the closet, out, closet, in the closet. All right. And so this is another quote from Don McGillies about forgiveness and grace. And yeah. So
Do you
give yourself
want me to
some
read
grace,
it?
people.
Oh,
Yeah, go for it.
forgiveness is the only way to heal. You can choose to forgive because we feel compassion for ourselves.
Mm,
So, and I think
love that.
that's important. And just going back to what you said about like you just got to keep doing it and keep doing it, keep doing it. That's where I find grace for myself is when I stumble, I stand back up and I'm like, just keep going, just keep going, just keep going, just keep going, and keep doing the little steps, even if you think they're stupid, and it will make a difference. It will make a
Mhm.
difference.
Me
Finding the
too.
grace to
Yeah.
say, that's okay. Just keep going. Just
Mhm.
keep going.
Those baby
So
steps so important. And someone who wrote a book here, Heather, talks about the importance of the baby steps.
baby steps
So
are huge.
yeah,
Taking
the
one
huge
thing and
steps,
doing
the
it.
baby steps.
Yep, so you're not overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
All right. So now we're gonna go to the fourth. So we kind of did these in order so that you the tips are in order. Like so once you let go of letting your ego, like kind of putting your ego in the back seat, putting that fear in the back seat, and then staying in your lane, right, unattaching from what um trying to what other people think, say, or do, and what society is expecting you to do. So kind of like unattaching from the fear and the ego and other people's reactions and what you expect other people to do. And then you let in the grace. So you let in this watershed of it, just like radical self-acceptance, self-love, compassion, forgiveness. And so then that's going to open the door to something miraculous. And that
Mhm.
is you're going to be able to really connect with, you can either call it your inner child, or your truth, and you're going to be able to hear what, not what you need, but maybe what your next steps are in your divine purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to be able to hear, connect with like the greater truth of, of the universe. And you're going to be able to understand like what is your piece in the beautiful, magnificent puzzle that
Mm-hmm.
we're all in. And um i can say personally, when I went through these first 3 steps in my life, I only hit the 4th step after 12 years of a healing journey. Now, I'm a slow and deliberate learner and healer, and so I'm sure other people will be much faster than I am. But during the pandemic, I didn't really have a big life moment because I'd been so used to having life lessons.
Mm-hmm.
But what I did have was a series of a whole week's worth of middle of the night wake ups with this one word in my head, and it was called MomSanity, which, if any of you have been following me since the beginning, which there'd be like 2 people who might know this in the world, that was what my first blog was named, was MomSanity. And so it kept waking me up, kept waking me up, kept waking me up. And so finally on the 7th day, I was like, I need to do something with this word.
Mm-hmm.
This word, I've never said it to myself. Yes, I have MomSanity. I'm grateful for having MomSanity in the pandemic, and I find it just a miracle in and of itself. But now I need to do something about it. And so then I was like, all right, you know what? I got all this other training in writing. I'm gonna write some random, face planty stories. And so by doing that and taking the scary steps, I kept embracing and listening and strengthening that muscle. It's like a muscle.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes if I'm not in alignment and I get too on the busy track, I will wake up in the morning, similar to the MomSanity sound that was in my head for 7 days straight, and something will be shouting at me. Or I'll do a meditation. I'll have just like a profound experience because it was something the universe has been, in my inner truth, has been shouting at me to do, that I've been too busy. And
Yeah.
so I would say that stillness, I've been meditating for 6 years. My yoga practice is probably not as consistent as yours, Heather, either journaling, but
my meditation isn't as consistent as yours. So,
we
you
all have our ups
got to
and
find your thing.
yeah. So stillness is so incredibly important to just sit in. And if anything, I mean, we are the love of our own lives, right? We're with ourselves the most in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And so if anything, just sit in that stillness to get to know who you are on the inside. And then it will take a long time of practice, but you get to feel and hear what your truth is. And for me, that was nothing short of a miracle, from where I was even a year ago to where I am right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's awesome. And you're happier now. Yes.
I have a consistent level of joy in my life. It's just this steady, purpose-filled, courageous, willing to try out anything, this flexibility of like failing forward.
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to fail forward.
Yeah.
I'm willing to, do face plants because just so that I can learn more about myself and embrace myself more, to be able to show up better for the people who need me.
Yeah.
So I believe in myself now. And that was the big difference. Because I have my truth, I can believe in myself. I'm connected, and I know that I am meant to make a difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that.
What about you, Heather?
My big truth happened when I was engaged to this man who's a lovely man. But the family dynamics were not good. And one morning I just woke up and I realized if I continue down this path, much like corporate world, but it was different. Like I just with corporate world, I was like, I'm not going to be a happy person, but with this one, I woke up and I realized because I was living the life that I thought that I was supposed to, I was revolving my world around him and his daughter and his family, and I was not honoring myself at all. I woke up and I realized that in 5 years, if I continue down this path, in 5 years, I will not be me anymore. And I wouldn't like that person. And that was like, one of those truths is like, because now I know the truth. And it was almost like a little bit backwards. Like now I have to give myself grace to do this. I take the fears and all that stuff, but the truth was there. And so with that being said, so I did it, but I had to listen to that voice that says, this isn't you. This is not you. And if you don't live you, then you're not going to live in personal freedom. And that's what it's all about. Yeah.
Wow.
All of these steps are like figuring out who you are, just as you said, like, who am I and how do I take care of myself and how do I nurture myself? I was thinking the whole time we've been talking, I've been like, this is kind of like planting something. Like you have this seed and you're not sure what it is, so you're afraid, but you go ahead and put it in the soil, and then all of the world is like, you can't plant that there. You don't even know what that is. What if it's like a feed me, Seymour? Like you don't even know. All right. And then you start nurturing it and watering it and giving it grace, just going, I don't know what you're going to be, but I love you and I think you're going to be awesome. And then it sprouts and grows, and then it is what it is. So that's been going through my head this whole time, like, nurture it and just see what it wants to become. Find out who you are. So
grow your inner truth, right? Grow a connection through watering with love and grace and forgiveness.
Just start nurturing yourself and see what you become.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
So the final quote that brings it all together.
Yay.
True freedom has to do with the human spirit. It is the freedom to be who we really are. That's what personal freedom is. Being able to live as you are freely.
Unapologetically, unequivocally, authentically.
Yeah. And I know, as you know very well, Heidi, that there are certain people that when you find that inner truth, it's not so easy to live in this society. And still standing in that inner truth and living it, that's freedom. And I salute and applaud everyone who does it, no matter what.
Yes, I am reminded when I recently finished "You Are a Badass" by Jen Sincero, and she has a whole chapter that's titled "Man in a Loincloth." So she was backpacking in Utah and came across this man who's literally been living off the land for many, many years. He was like this very tan, super, super ripped man, right? Because he's living off the land in the middle of Utah, which is mostly rock and not a lot of lush forests, as far as I know my experience of Utah to be. And he just had a loincloth on. And this is a modern day tale.
Yeah.
So that is a man who symbolically has personal freedom.
Yes.
I'm not saying we all need to be men in loincloths, but you need to figure out what is your version of the man in the loincloth.
Well done.
If that has to do with teddy bears, then it has to do with teddy bears.
That's like
or massage school.
Or there was a woman who came to Jeff's store, and I'm like, what do you do? And she's like, I'm a fire dancer. And I'm like, what? I didn't even know that was an option.
Dang.
How cool is that?
That is very
dance
cool.
with fire.
Yeah. I want to be that.
I know. I was like, I didn't know that was an option as a kid. Was that on that test, that you took? Like things you'd be good at?
I know. Doctor, lawyer, president, fire dancer.
Fire dancer.
Check.
Who knew?
Because I've heard of the fire, swallowers.
Yeah. You see them at the Renaissance Festival.
That's like, someone who might have been on the flag corps in high school, who might be more of a daredevil. Boom, fire dancer is your answer.
Yeah, I love that. Fire dancer is your answer. You're a poet and you knew it. You can actually do it.
All right. So now we're going to move on to no, seriously.
I do want to say real quick, though, honestly, people that are watching, even after the live version, comment, tell us your stories. We love to hear them. We love it when people tell their stories. So.
Yeah. Tell us about your experience with like standing in your truth and any kind of experiences or stories that revolve around that, or how you let in grace and how you take care of yourself.
Yes,
so those are all big. Those are radical questions.
And if you join our Facebook group, Live with Heidi and Heather, on our Facebook group, we're going through the gratitude challenge that Heidi set up, and we've had some lovely stories on there from people sharing their gratitude and sharing things in their life, and it's been really, really lovely. So thank you to everybody who's been sharing on that too.
Yeah, it's been a fabulous month, and I have another challenge that I'll reveal in December. That is all new, and even my kids thought they were proud of me after I made this challenge, and they're gonna do it. So stay tuned. Maybe I'll do a little announcement in our Facebook group. I'll do a stream.
Awesome. Yeah.
And then people can get in on the good stuff and get it all downloaded before December starts. Yeah. So anyway, I want to talk about this. No, seriously. So Heather, I have a podcast.
Yes.
And so I record. Last Friday, which Friday is usually my recording day, got really busy. So I didn't get to record until after dinner. So about once a week or so, maybe twice a week, I will have a drink. And that's usually because I don't have to shuffle kids anywhere at night. And it's like a celebration of being you continue to be a homebody and not having to go outside.
Yeah.
So I had a beer with dinner, and I've never actually had alcohol and then recorded a podcast. And I wasn't tipsy or anything. I am lightweight, but wasn't tipsy. But I do want to if anyone who is listening on the replays ever tried to record anything after having a carbonated alcoholic beverage. So it was quite a challenge because I would have to stop the pod many times to belch. So I'll be like, hi, I'm back with this story.
Oh, so I love that.
Though, just don't drink and drive. Don't drink beer. Don't beer and pod. That's all I'm going to say today. So, and sometimes I could catch it in my throat in time, and I was doing this.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, lessons learned. I was like, wow, I could do a whole story about the fact that when I was trying to record the story. And the first part, I was just like, oh, this is going to be so great. I'm a little loose from my beer. And I kept drinking the beer, and I was like, this is not good.
Yeah. No. That's awesome.
What about you, Heather?
You didn't just go, and continue on your podcast on. You didn't let everybody know.
I could have, and then I could have cut it out, but I didn't even want to have to worry about cutting it out. So I would just stop and then go. No. And then the buttons.
You probably made the polite, most efficient choice.
True. And then I was really surprised because I also had it was like I had a buildup of saliva in my mouth. I know it's kind of, but then I was like, and so I already had to edit those out.
Oh God.
Podcasting beginner moment.
Yes. Just keep going. You got to just keep going. So for me, last week, as we know, was the change of the clocks. And it usually takes me a little while to change the clock down here in my office because I'm teaching yoga and things go by an hour. It doesn't really matter if it's on a 4 or 3. It starts at 12 and it works its way around, So I just really don't pay attention. Well, before my class on this particular day, I had an energy session with somebody, and I really enjoy this person. And all of a sudden I looked up at the clock and I was like, holy crap. Have we really gone almost 3 hours? That's ridiculous. And so as I'm wrapping it up with her, I'm like, okay, so usually these sessions, I know it says an hour, usually they do run 90 minutes with talking before and talking after. But I just want you to know that in the future, they will not run like 2.5 hours, almost 3 hours. And she kind of looked at me weird. And I was like, okay, me just thinking, well, she's not happy about that or whatever. We hang up. And then, because I'm at this point, I'm racing because I have to get ready for my yoga class. And I start the live stream for the yoga and I'm waiting and nobody shows. And I'm like, okay, but I have this policy that if you've signed up, which people had, and you don't show, then I send you the recording of it. So I'm like, I guess I'm doing yoga, So I go through like the whole class, doing the whole class. And as I'm in Happy Baby, if you know yoga, that's like the sign of we're about to go to Savasana. I'm in Happy Baby and I look up and somebody has popped up on the screen. And I'm like, dude, you're an hour late. Oh. And then I realized I hadn't turned my clock back.
You were an hour early.
I started the class an hour early. And that poor person that I did the energy session with, it hadn't been 3 hours. No, it had been just the right time.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, guess I'm doing yoga all over again.
Double yoga session.
Yeah, so I did. I started over and just did it all again. So it's right. It was good for me.
Wow.
So that it's rare that the time change gets me. That time it did. I was like, and luckily it wasn't horrible. I mean, no harm, no foul, just to me. That was it.
Yeah,
that was my no seriously.
That's a good moment.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we're going to move on to what are we grateful for?
What are you grateful for?
Well, I have personally been very grateful at the community that we're building in the Live with Heidi and Heather group and all the gratitude. So that has been excellent.
Yeah.
And I'm also very grateful for me being able to sit with the anger of my son and have him do a reflection, and then we were able to sit and talk about it, and I was able to take care of myself afterwards, and not when I would have had an experience like that with my ex-husband, I would have just pushed it down or had lots of coffee or organized a linen closet. So big steps in that. Yeah. What about you, Heather?
I am grateful for Watson. Watson.
Please explain to people, who Watson is.
Watson is our new cat. Excuse me. So Watson is a rescue from my friend's animal rescue. She called me and said, I have the perfect cat for your husband. My husband's the cat person, not me. Which is why I don't have Watson right here to show you, because I'm in my office and Watson isn't allowed in my office because I do have an allergy toward him that is doable. What I'm grateful for, though, is about 10 years ago, my husband lost his cat. And he just, his heart, I don't think ever really mended from that. And so all this time I've been kind of like wanting him to get a cat, knowing that it wasn't going to really mend until he got a cat. And so that happened on Friday. And it's been an interesting journey because I have a dog, Ember, who you've seen, and they've been kind of getting to know each other. There's been some ups and downs and stuff. But to see my husband sitting on the couch with this cat in his lap, it's actually like 5 months old. It's a kitten, but he's a big cat. It's hard to remember that he's a kitten. And just petting this purring creature in his lap and seeing him smile made it all worth it. So that's what I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for Watson for making my husband smile.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And for all of you watching the replay, let us know what you are grateful for, or if you even have a no seriously moment.
We love no seriously.
Would love to know if you've also beer and potted in the past, or what your experience is with welcoming a new cat or dog into your home are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So now it's time. I think we should pull an affirmation from the Bowl of Affirmation.
Excellent.
For Watson. So
Ooh.
I'm gonna do Watson first.
Aw.
And I'm thinking next month I'm gonna have somebody is walking their dog down the street. How dare they?
Yeah.
Let me go. Hey Elvis. Yeah, good boy. Yeah, good boy. You can go lay down. Yeah. He's probably got at least a couple more barks in him, just FYI. Yeah. He has the mouth ready. And then he gets the punishment from mom. And then he's like, okay.
Gotta have the last word.
All right. All right. So this is
I am lovable, loving, and loved. Ooh, I like that. That's a really good one for cat rescue.
Yay. Which is probably very true. All right. And this is Heather, this is yours. Oh, I think I got this one last time.
Obstacles are my opportunities. Yeah.
Yeah.
I need that today. It's a good one.
All right. And mine. I probably need this one. Play matters.
Play matters. You do need to play today after the I don't want to say the tough morning, the growing morning that you had.
There was a growth morning there. So that's for sure. For sure.
Yeah. Are you gonna pull one for everybody?
I am gonna pull one for everybody. Oh. I am worthy.
All of you out there, yes. Your light is important. You were put here on this earth to shine your light. You are worthy of all of it.
Yeah, I'm going to say of the week. I am going to put the affirmation of the week in there. That's my new tidbit. All right. So in December 3rd, I believe it's 3rd.
Yes.
First.
Third.
No, it's the 1st.
No, it's the 3rd. December 3rd is about joy.
Oh, okay. I thought it was December 1st.
Well, let me check my calendar.
Okay. Our first show in December is going to be on joy, and not the Christmassy kind of joy, the joy that you get from aligning with your purpose.
It is December 1st. On our notes, it says December 3rd. Seriously?
No, seriously? Let's not be 2 days late to that one. So, and then we're going to figure out what a holiday show is, and then we're going to invite you all. So,
yes.
All right. Well, sending you love, light, and laughter. Until next time, I'm Heidi Esther.
And I'm Heather Kokx.
And we'll see you soon.
Thank you for coming. Bye.